This is a book review of The Art of Reginald Heade, or Reginald Heade, I'm not exactly certain. Stephen James Walker. Now, this book came out in 2016 and it's from Telos, telos.co.uk. You can find it on various places like Book Palace, Amazon, etc. There's also a volume 2 that came out in November 2020. This is full of colour, predominantly colour. So I'm just going to show you can see colour there all the way through. Lots and lots of different covers from a variety of different books, predominantly all of the sort of detective crime, thriller, etc. And I'd say some of the pictures are particularly racy, though obviously of the time, 1940s, this is mainly 1940s, 1950s, and they're very popular with vintage paperback fans and collectors, and of course produced many hundreds of these brilliant covers. And it says here, erotically charged depictions of prey of sexy, scantily clad young virgins and vixens. I think that's the best way of describing it. I don't know how I could describe it any better. And this is local ladies at night as models. That's the rumour, apparently. And you can see the quite similarities in sometimes some of the pictures of those various women. And you can see obviously the cover there. Absolutely gorgeous book. Now we'll quickly go through, show some of the pages, not all. And you've got the contents there. And it's split up into like Hank Janson, who was immensely popular. Locker & Co. was a company that had lots of these covers. US editions, Pulp Roundup, Hardbacks, Girls and Boys, Periodicals, Cy Webb, who was his real name, Cyril Webb, Reginald Cyril Webb. And he was born in 1901. There's not a vast amount of information text. There's a bit, like a page or two, often describing obviously Hank Janson there. But he was born in 1901 and born in London. It's got a lot of detail. And you've got to see some of the covers there. And it's a variety of sizes of pictures. Now, also, some of the titles may be slightly offensive because there are some slightly interesting titles. Not all, but some are quite, and also many are quite funny, actually. But there are, Dainty Dynamite. Also, Sweetheart, Here's Your Grave. Gunsmoke in Her Eyes. That sounds like a song coming on, doesn't it? The Pride Wore Weeds. There's this one here. I don't even know what that means. The Bride Wore Weeds. How weird. Is it sort of drug reference? I don't know. However, this is Hank Janson. I've got a couple of his books. However, my ones are not this artist, unfortunately. It would be nice if they were, but I've only got ones that I found in markets. You do find these sort of books in old second-hand markets and places, junk shops, charity shops, etc. And the lady has a scar. Don't dare me sugar. Yeah, not very good for you, perhaps. So there's Some Look Better Dead. Just great, it's obviously covered titles there. Frails Can Be So Tough. That, don't know. Best of Tough Gangster Authors. Some of these titles are really quite odd. You really sort of think, Skirts Bring Me Sorrow. My Lady Took the Rap. Woman Trap. Perfume Nemesis, that sort of thing. So you've got these, and it's got lots. So you've got some quite big, really quite big covers there. Really quite, it's not all that size, unfortunately. It'd be really lovely. The book would be about 500 pages. Would have been amazing if they'd all been that size. But quite a few of them, you got like 4 on a page. But you've got some little information. So it gives a Nylon Avenger. And it's Top Fiction Press, August 1953. I always loved the Hank Janson. It always said like 8 million copies sold. Over 8 million sale. Over 8 million sale. I suppose when he got to 9 million or 10 million, did he put 10 million sale? So I suspect so. One Man in His Time. There were some great covers in these. So you got, again, this is Locker & Co. This was a company that was like 1940s and continued 1950s, etc. And Dolores. You've got the same names turn up quite a lot. Paul Renning. I assume that's how it's said, maybe not. And Michael Storm, Tragedy of the White Slaves, Annie Get Your Hearse, Broomtail Basin. Maybe there's a place called Broomtail. What No Witnesses, and there's obviously but some of these covers are really, well, they're actually very good. And you've got some covers, I love the fact that they show the period. Obviously, a period that's slightly different, but it still obviously shows that 1940s, 1950s of the time. Bohemia, or certainly people's sort of vision of that world, maybe slightly enhanced vision of that world. I suspect it wasn't, obviously he wasn't painting pictures of, normal people's working class sort of houses and things. So this was people obviously going to various nightclubs and things, which seem to be immensely popular. Whenever I watch Talking Pictures, I love Talking Pictures. There's always like 1950s thing. Always got John Le Mesurier or something, and he's always running the nightclub or something, some broken down place. Well, always downstairs, I assume, and they're always amazing. You think, wow, I wonder if those places still exist. However, they obviously exist in the imagination, certainly in these sort of books, and also the films. White Slaves of New Orleans, and that's New Orleans, and that's Roland Vane. Roland Vane, I should say. Roland Vane. Seen quite a lot of his names mentioned. Gene Ross, Spike Morelli, Paul Rennin again, Lost Souls in Bohemia. And you've just got page after page and page of great covers. And then you've got other sections. You've got US ones as well. I love the US ones because the US ones often, like here, got 2D and 2 or 6, 2 and 6. 2 and 6. Must have been odd, the Americans seeing 2 and 6 on there, thinking, what's that? Obviously 35 cents. Price in the USA and Canada, 35 cents. Then you've also got Pulp's roundups, and you've got some lovely ones where you did you got the black and white, where you did the illustrations in the, in the book itself. So that's quite Rehearsal for Love, Dead Men Don't Love, Don't Fool Sucker, those sort of things. The Case of a Careless Kitten. Oh, that's what? See that one. Case of the Careless Kitten. Wouldn't trust that kitten as far as I could throw. Anyway, I'm saying an absolutely lovely kitten. Earl Stanley Gardner. Obviously a Perry Mason mystery. I love those Perry Mason ones. They're absolutely great. Anyway, Girls and Boys, he also did lots of hardbacks. Weirdly, it mentions here something about hardbacks. I always, pulps, obviously the paperbacks, apparently infinitely more popular than hardbacks. I'm really quite surprised by it. I love hardbacks, but as you can see from this, but obviously paperbacks are more popular. Yeah, Girls and Boys. Quite often you see these sort of things in charity shops. Quite often I probably completely ignore them, which is really quite silly when I suddenly realise that they're really probably pretty good artists, the covers anyway. I don't know about the stories. I'm certain the stories are pretty good as well. So I've got Treasure Island there, the 8 Days Feud. And then you've got magazines as well. So you've got periodicals, you've got Britannia. Never heard of that magazine. Obviously, must have been quite a popular magazine. Britannia Eve. Well, the other one's called Britannia Eve. Yes, Anne Eve. Anne Eve. Thrilling romance, and you've got these obviously comic strips in Play Hour, 1955. And those sort of books often turn up as well. So I love those illustrations. They're really of their period, 1955. I've recently just got a book, 1952 annual, and you've got these lovely old illustrations. They're beautiful. Beautiful quality, but they're always like the same. They're always like 4 panels or something. Very, very quite staid sort of image. There's no real sort of like Jack Kirby or Steve Ditko or any of the. That world is definitely very different. Anyway, periodicals you got here: The Case of the Forbidden Island, Captain Kidd, and then you got some work that he did. These great Panther ones, as well as Pan Giants. I love those book covers. They were glorious. The Paper Palace by Robert Harlin. You and Your Child. Remember that one? And you've got these other ones here. The Great Beast. In this case, you've got 9 on a page. Catherine Carter. And there's also a brilliant book that's come out that's got all the Pan covers, or not all of them, because I think they must have created thousands, but it's got stacks and stacks of great covers. But I must get a copy of that book at some point before it goes out of print. And you've got also at the end, you've got ones that are maybe his work as well. So that's it. The Art of Reginald Heade. I really love this book. Absolutely. I love books of covers because, of course, lots of covers of books I will never get because they're virtually impossible to get now. So it's really great that people bring out these brilliant collections, and may they bring out many, many, many more of these sort of collections. Like I say, luckily, there is also a volume 2 of this Art of Reginald Heade. So that's also worth checking out. I have no idea what's in it. I haven't got a copy yet, but I'm certain looking at on their website, it's got lots of examples, etc. from the book. So definitely looks good as well. So absolutely loved this book. Brilliant.